This is the second video in a 4-video series focusing on Surrey real estate. And in this video, we're going to focus on Surrey detached or single family housing, as reported by the good people at the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. So if you are looking to buy into or sell out of a detached home here in Surrey, you came to the right place. And if you are new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe so you can stay up to date here on the market. Go ahead and click that like button. And of course, if you need real estate advice here in Surrey or the Fraser Valley, you can book a call with me right now using the link in the description below at a time that works best for you. And now on to the detached or single family market here in the city of Surrey. And we're going to find out what the heck's going on. So starting off with, and again, this is the entire city of Surrey, detached housing, HPI, housing price index, all the way back to 2005, which we all wish we had a time machine, where you could buy the average detached property for $376,000. Obviously, we've seen these massive run-ups. This first big run-up was in 2015 and 16. Then the foreign buyer foreign buyer tax came in, and that cooled off the market for a bit. But then the market took right back off again. This second bit that people don't really understand how bad this market was here in 2018 and 2019 was my worst year in the business. It was a really, really tough year. That was actually a result of the stress test coming into play and being applied across all of the different mortgages. There was a stress test previously, but it wasn't applied to everybody. And then obviously we had a little bit of a turn up pre-pandemic. And since the pandemic, with all the available money, real estate had just taken off. Then at this point in time, in March of 2022, interest rates started going up. We saw that massive downshift in the marketplace by, like, we're talking 1.88 was the average selling price. Sorry, not average selling price, benchmark selling price in the city of Surrey in March of 22. And less than a year later, it dropped all the way down to 1.478. And now we are back at 166. So let's break this down into the 3-year window so you can kind of see that a little bit better off. We are still down in detached benchmark pricing minus 6.3% since this same time last year. That's this number up here. But some people prefer to look at median pricing. Median pricing means the middle sale price. So there is no adjustments for the style of home. There's nothing. It's just the middle sale price of detached homes in the city of Surrey. Let's take a look at that. Obviously, it's much more jagged. There's no trends or rounding or anything. It's just simply a number. If you look at that number, the median price actually peaked out a month earlier at 1.9. So median was actually higher, and then it bottomed out in November. Now, there was an argument, and I was right there with it, that said November was the bottom of the marketplace just last year, with like a 30% loss in value, which I know to me is absolutely crazy, mind-blowing. However, everybody said, no, it's going to keep going down. It's going to keep going down. And by the way, some of those people that say no matter what, it's going to keep going down, median is their favorite price to use. So there's a very good chance that those people were completely wrong because, well, November was the bottom of the market there. And now we have recovered by $300,000 or 50% of the way back from the peak. And remember, that peak was only a couple of months, right? We only had January, February, March, April, and then the decline that happened after that. So we were only at the top for about a 2-month period. Some people don't like that, and they like average price. Again, much more jagged. However, average price, actually, let's go back real quick. Median price up 2.6 year over year. So is average price. The average price peaked out again in February in detached, and this is very indicative of the marketplace. So detached will usually act first. As we go into the other videos in this series, you're probably going to see numbers reflecting that March, April, and sometimes even May are the top of the marketplace because those asset classes that are lower price, they peak out later on. It's just a function of how our market works here. So we topped out at 2 million, well, almost 2.1 million as the average selling price in February 2022, bottomed out 25% less than that again in November. So again, if you guys like average price and you think HPI is franken numbers, I'm telling you the average price actually showed that we were going to take off before we actually did. And then we have now recovered back up to 185. So again, about 50% or so of the recovery from the peak to the trough. Number of sales is extremely important. You're going to see this same sort of pattern. Now, this was the peak of the market here, February 2022. However, there were very few sales, and that's actually what drove the market up so high. If there were more properties available at that time, we would not have seen such a crazy peak over those couple of months. Let's go back to March the previous year. So we're talking almost 2.5 years ago now. The detached homes in Surrey saw 713 sales, and then as little as only 82. There are, in the city of Surrey, according to the numbers here, 82 geniuses that bought at the bottom of the marketplace, and now we've recovered back up to a much more respectable 291. I'm going to pop out on this so you can just check out kind of the averages. Obviously, this is a very seasonal thing. You're going to have these busy spring markets. March is usually going to be the top, but you will notice that the number of sales is actually not nearly as high as it has been, which is what we would expect with much higher interest rates. But look at this. We had back in January of 2009, 81 sales. We had 82. So this last January was just as slow as after the great financial crisis, and with a much higher population now than 15 years ago. New listings coming to the market. Look at that. We've seen a little turn back already. Again, this is a very seasonal thing. Usually the top of new listings coming to the market is in the spring. Let's see if I can find one that's not. They're all March, May, and again, it appears that May is the active spot this last year. I'm going to zoom back in on this for you guys. So it looks like we are starting to slow off. You'll notice that often it is a peak and it is not kind of a slouched off number of new listings coming to the market. So this is very typical, and we are now going to expect that the new listings should probably tally off for the rest of the year unless people start really hurting as a result of these interest rates. And well, that's very, very possible. But is there new listings coming to the market? Doesn't appear to be currently as many as we need, but active listings are important. So as sales drop and new listings stay the same, that's going to add to the amount of active listings, and that is what we are seeing. So let's go back again to the bottom. Like, there was only 485 homes in December of 2021 available for sale in the entire city of Surrey, detached homes. That thankfully went up and basically doubled to over 800 just a year later. So that's why the market didn't necessarily spike up as quick as it could have again. And now more listings are coming to the market. So new listings are not necessarily getting higher anymore, but sales are slowing. So that is leading to more actives on the market. Sales to actives ratio. I'm going to go back out on this one again. This is buyer's market, seller's market. So see this line right here, this 30%, just above that 30% is the spot where prices go up. So this isn't relative to the actual prices, but this is when prices are increasing or decreasing. And then once you drop below this kind of 20% mark, you will see prices start to come down. So that's why we saw in April of last year, when it dropped below that, that's when the downturn started. And then we went right back into it this last year. Thankfully, we are seeing a lower consumption rate this month compared to just a couple of months ago. And ideally, that should slow down the rate of pace. However, we're not below the 20% mark quite yet. Percentage of original price is kind of a silly stat in some regards, but this is detached. So it does show you the kind of exuberance in the marketplace. So percentage, this is a really good number. This is the lowest that ever was. 2009, after the great financial crisis, the average sale that happened was for 10% less than the asking price. So if you were asking $1 million, you would probably sell for under $900,000. And then of course, when the market gets hot, that number goes up. I remember in 2016 when we started seeing stuff selling over asking, it was insane. We couldn't believe it. But look at this. February of 2022, the average detached home was selling for 109% of the list price. And then that plummeted back to 92% in August. So August, again, this is another way to look at the market about how slow the market was. In August of last year, that was the tough spot. You really could negotiate a deal back then and you didn't have to act on anything. Nobody wanted to act on anything. So even though prices weren't as low as they were, say, in January, you could list to sale ratio, get a really good deal. Well, unfortunately, that's gone right back in the other direction. We are now at a spot in detached homes where you should be expecting to pay more than the asking price. It's unfortunate. I don't think it should continue. I don't think it will continue in this spring coming up. But right now, it is most common that we are seeing prices exceed the asking. Price per square foot is kind of silly again in detached because you have such different size houses. So I'm not going to focus on that a ton. But days on market means how busy is the market? How fast do homes sell? Well, you can see that way back in the terrible times of 2009, on average, it took the houses that did sell, not the ones that didn't, but the ones that did sell, 89 days on market. And then when the market gets good, that number drops down to about 2 weeks or so. And look at this, we're actually seeing a decline. So in January of this year, which was the bottom of the market currently, 47 days, so a month and a half, which actually still isn't that bad historically. And now we've seen that go down to as little as 21 days. So that means to me that if you are a seller on the marketplace right now and your property is not sold in 21 days, you are simply asking too much. There you go. That is the detached market for the city of Surrey up until summer of 2023. If you need help and you're looking to either buy into or sell out of the detached market, you can go ahead and book a call with me right now using the link in the description below. Thank you for subscribing, clicking the like button, and we'll see you in a couple of days.